Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you can all hear me okay. Good morning for some. Thank you all very much for joining our ArtiosCAD webinar, the ultimate toolbox for efficient packaging and displays in 3D. So just some introductions. My name's Scott Thompson. I'm the Marketing and Channels Manager for Esko. We have George Nastis, one of our application sales managers and an expert in our ArtiosCAD solution.
Good afternoon / good morning, everyone.
So just a couple of things before we start. Now, there are many registrants who have joined this session, so all participants will be muted. In saying that, we do encourage questions and comments, so please use the questions tab at the right of your screen, and George and myself will cover these at the end. The session is being recorded, and you'll be able to access that recording at the end of the session. This is live and dependent on a good internet connection. We are working from home, so please bear with us if we run into any issues. So before I hand over to George for demonstration, I promise this is a very short overview. Some of you may not know, but Esko is actually part of the Danaher family. Danaher is a Fortune 500 science and technology innovator based out of Washington. And what you see here is one of the Danaher family groups called the Danaher Product Identification Group, or PID group as we call it. And that's what Esko is a part of. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with a few of our brothers and sisters on there who we work very closely with on innovation and all future integration. So ArtiosCAD is and continues to be the world's leading structural design solution for packaging and displays. Over 20 years of experience results in the strongest collection of dedicated tools for design, product development, virtual prototyping and die making. And it's for this reason we have well over 23,000 licenses across the world with worldwide support team to match. So Esko has quite an extensive ecosystem comprising of many individual solutions, ArtiosCAD being one of them. You can see a lot of them listed across the top and the bottom here in black, and all interacting together with ArtiosCAD's core technology being utilized throughout. So this ensures file integrity within any workflow, and also means that if there are any changes in the design, it can easily reflow and be updated without the need of a file conversion at any time, which is very important. So that's enough for me. It was just a quick introduction. I'll hand you over to George to demonstrate the solution. Thanks, George.
Hello, everyone. I'm hoping that you can all see my screen. Just to give you a brief overview of what we will be running through today. So although ArtiosCAD is a very, very in-depth piece of software, and there's a lot of tools that we can show, obviously we are governed by a certain amount of time, as we want to leave some time for questions as well at the end of the session. So I will be showing some of the main features and some of the major tools that ArtiosCAD comes with. And then, of course, we can touch on further demonstrations with you individually if you like to. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to cover a bit of folding carton. So from a design process to producing some reports, we're going to run from a standard, and I'll show you some of the 2D editing tools as well. And then we'll show you the work it goes through to produce a layout for folding carton in 2 different fashions. And then from there, we'll also move into do a bit of a displays workflow using the canvassing feature and also layout tools as well. So to get started, and what I will explain is that ArtiosCAD comes with a fully featured run a standard dialog. And the run a standard dialog basically is a set of standards that the software ships out of the box with. So what you will do is upon installing the software, you'll get somewhere around 450 to 500 different standards that come with the software. And by standards, I mean they are resizable design templates. So you can grab any one of those templates, you can assign any board grade to it, supply some internal dimensions, and then from there the software will go and build the carton based on a mechanically correct die line. to aid you in your design process. Now, as you can see on screen here, yeah, we have, you know, the software comes with corrugated standards dedicated. We have some display standards, which are mix and match. So you can pick, you know, some bases and some headers and some trays, and you can build your own custom display, so to speak. We also then have a full library of folding carton. And in the later versions of ArtiosCAD now, we are going through a whole redesign process of bringing in brand new standards and writing new standards for the industry. So you can see here with the different versions, we're adding more and more groups of ECMA, which is folding carton, and FEFCO, which is corrugated. And at this point here, we are building this library. So with each and every version of the software that comes out, more and more standards are added to that library. Now, in addition, yeah, we have a website called ArtiosCAD.net, which you can now see on my screen. And ArtiosCAD.net is basically a standards shop where we have teamed up with one of our partners in Italy, and they have supplied this fantastic website where they have actually built all these standards, tested them on a cutting device, like a cutting table, a digital cutting device. And so we know they all work. And the majority of these are parametric. Now, although there's a fair few of the designs on this ArtiosCAD.net page that are for free and you can download by registering an account, most of these are paid for. Yep. And what I mean paid for is that you might pay 30 euro for some or 60 or 70 euro for some. But once you buy the rights to that design, it is yours to keep. And you can use that many times over. So you can use that same design, you know, 15, 20 times, and it becomes available in the file runner standard menu here. So as you can see here, I have a ArtiosCAD.net menu, which we have some, which I've actually been able to grab from that store. So starting off with the folding carton design, and what I'll do is I'll specify in here as well is that you'll see that under I've created a fold here under webinar. So you can in ArtiosCAD go ahead and create your own standards as well. So if there's particular designs that you're always, you know, stretching and modifying, instead of doing that, you have the tools to be able to create a resizable design from that as well. So what I'll do is I'll click on this tuck in top crush lock base carton here. And you can see it gives you a preview of the 3D image and a preview of the 2D image of how the carton will look. And I can just click OK on this image here. So once I do that, the software goes in and asks me some design parameters. And the design parameters here on the left-hand side basically give me the ability to choose certain things like the default grain direction. Am I drawing the carton from the inside or from the outside? Am I using millimeters or inches to draw my my drawing? ArtiosCAD will run both in imperial and in metric, so that's why it gives you that option to run that. On the right-hand side, you have a list of the board menus. Now, ArtiosCAD comes itself shipped with a wide range of materials and in a database, but as well as that, yeah, you can go in and totally customize your own list as well. So as you can see here, I've created an Esko one here, and I've further created more materials in here. For this one, we're going to run a folding carton board. So I'm just going to choose folding carton board here, and I'll choose an SPS board. And you'll see here that, again, the I boards here start for inches in imperial, and the M is for metric. So if I click on that board there, I can now go in and say board properties here. And under board properties, it gives me certain allowances or certain values here. You can see here the caliper is the actual thickness of the board that I've chosen. The inside loss and outside gain is basically what you lose per crease and what you gain per crease when you're folding the carton. And you can also have a rounding value as well. So if you are someone in the corrugated business that really wanted to only have whole numbers or half numbers instead of, you know, decimal points with 0.25 and 0.63, you can round those values up and down based on that board information. You see here we can associate also weights and costs per board. So you can do some limited estimation out of ArtiosCAD as well. So once you click OK on that and you choose your board and you click on OK on this menu here, you'll see the software will come in and it will prompt you now to give it certain specific parameters here. Yeah. And here I can start typing in some dimensions. So I can say, 150 by 120 by, let's say, 300, for example. And you can go in and you can see what each and every different one asks you for. So when I click next now, yeah, it asks me, do I want to change the tuck-in top value, yeah, or the type of tuck-in top that I want? Do I want it with locks or just a friction top? Yeah, if I go next again, it takes you through and asks you the kind of magazine slot you want with your dust flap. Moving through that, yeah, I can go through. So you can see I can really customize the way this design is built in ArtiosCAD just by choosing certain options at the time when I'm building that standard. So if you're confident and you're happy with that, yep, you can just click OK here and the software will go through and it'll create that 2D design for you, flat design. Now at this stage, yeah, you might say, okay, maybe the customer sent you an updated brief that says we need to resize that carton, and you can do that. Provided it's run from an ArtiosCAD standard, you can actually click on the resize design here, and you can say, okay, now what do I need to change my dimensions to? So I can change this now to 75 by 50 by, let's say, 120. When I click next, yeah, it'll go through all the menus for me. But if I click OK, you can see that it's automatically resized that whole carton, yeah, and it's realigned all the parameters and all the variables to suit the new dimensions that I've typed in. So what do we want to do from here? We want to say, okay, we want to present this to our customer, yeah, as a 2D design, and we also want to show them a blank 3D mock-up of how their design will look. So in order to associate this design to a particular customer, we can save this file. And if I save it to designs here, and I can call this folding carton. Now in ArtiosCAD, it is important to note here that you can not only rename your cartons manually, as I have done, but you can use an auto name resource, which will actually generate a prefix, a certain set of numbers, and some letters after it, or whatever you feel like you need to do, like an _A or an _B, and that can rename automatically. So you can have a numbering system that's auto-counting and itself. But for this one, as for the webinar, I'll just name this folding carton. Once I click save here, yep, the design is now saved. I can go into database here and click information now. And the software now will go in, yeah, and read the SQL database. So ArtiosCAD ships with an SQL database engine in the background. If you have a server that runs a full SQL database, we can integrate with that and bring in the SQL database to make sure that your database is backed up along with your server. So in here, I can enter some information here and I can say customer, I can say the customer's name. So I'll just make it Esko. The owner, for example, I will make Esko as well. The salesperson, I'll make Scott in this instance. And then the designer as myself. In the description, you can type in things like, this is a, and that will be saved back to the database. You have some short descriptions 1, 2, and 3, which you can assign certain values to. Yeah, so maybe a die number or, how many colors are in the print. But again, within the customization of ArtiosCAD, again, you can go in and customize this field here, and you can enter some of your own custom fields here. And then they will prompt you, and you can have them as custom fields, and then you can have things dedicated, which you can do a search for in the software later on, which I'll show. Authorization and revision description is based on the fact that in ArtiosCAD, you can actually generate this design, send it off to a customer. When the customer comes back, he might say, I want some small changes made. And when you make those small changes, you can save the original design as a revision or the last new one as a revision, saying that this carton has multiple copies of it, yeah, but the revision allows you to give it an authorization and a description, meaning that what you've changed since the original design and who's authorized those changes as well. As you can see in the bottom here, yep, you can it gives you your typed in internal dimensions, your length, width, and depth. It gives you an area and rule length, and I'll show you those in a report later on, as well as the board grade we chose and the grain direction. Under characteristics, you can in here have, again, some customized characteristics based on your workflow or your work. And you can say it's a tuck box, so we can call this a tuck box. And now we can do things to search through the database to really hone down in those designs when you want to. So once I click OK here, and OK, all that information is fed back into the database. Now, before I go ahead and do my 3D render of this, I want to run some checks on this carton to make sure that, if the customer does get my 3D render in this 2D image and says, yes, it's good to go, we're not having to do any tweaks later on. So what we can do is we can run a thing called pre-flight. And this is a new feature that was recently released in ArtiosCAD. And once we click on pre-flight, you can set up a pre-flight based on, maybe a folding carton or a corrugated metric, or you can set it up based on, as you can see here, on a machine name. So I'm going to choose the demo. And then from here on the right-hand side, you can go and even refine those settings by choosing, maybe a die press or a printing press that you're going to be producing that box on. Once I click OK here, the software runs through that design, and then based on the settings that you've inputted into the software in the defaults, will allow you to go in and start modifying now the carton based on what errors it thinks that pre-flight found. So in here, we can go in here, and you can click on that one there, and I can zoom into that area. And straight away, once I click on that and zoom in, it shows me that what the area thinks it is. Now, for this example here, I'm happy to accept that. So I will just click down here, the tick. And I can put in some notes in here. I can say, use accepted. I am happy with this. So that is done. I can then go to the next one. And now again, it's asking me for the same thing. So I can go through all these sections here. And it will zoom in on all the sections and ask me if I want to make changes. So you can see here, it's saying that in the profile for demo, the minimum glue flap should be 16, not 12, as per what I've run in the standard. So based on that, we can go in and build a carton that is basically die cutter and print ready. So once I accept that, I can close it. I can accept all these. Yes, I can go through each one and accept them. Or if you don't want to, you can just close the pre-flight. And you're now back into your working mode of ArtiosCAD. Now, if I want to make some small changes, let's say for this carton here, I want to bring in and put in some radius corners at the top here. Now, I don't want to have to do radius corners on every section here, so I only want to modify one. So I can just, in what I can do is in order, I can just select that and choose this. Oops, sorry. I'll just choose a different selection tool here. And choose this tool here, and you can see by highlighting that one section and choosing the select auto repeat areas, it's actually selected both those areas that it looks the same. So I can now go in, choose here, and so say I want a 5 mil blend on those corners, and I can blend that, and as you can see, it does that to both corners. So the editing tools in ArtiosCAD are very, very powerful. We can do a lot of things. And as you can see on the left-hand side here, there's a wider range of tools. So anything from zooming tools to viewing tools. We can, change the color of the way the screen appears, show, endpoints of lines, center points of arcs. There is a lot of things that we can do here. Even down to nicking as well, which is important in folding carton. From there also, we have all your designated line drawing tools. You can add cut out windows to here. Using construction lines, you can evenly split panels up into segments. So I can click on this tool here and say, I want to split the vertical and the horizontal into 5 equal segments. I'll type in 5 divisions in this line, click on one of the lines, and you can see that it's split it up into 5 equal segments here. I have a lot of editing tools where I can trim and join lines. I can stretch lines. For example, if I wanted to stretch this glue flap here, I can use the stretch tool here. I can grab it and pull in an angle. Now, as you can see here, the problem with this stretch tool at the moment is that I'm stretching the glue panel, but at the same time, it's altering the angles. I can correct that by just choosing angle here. And as you can see, I can now widen that glue panel. Yeah, and it also retains the stretch angles as well. Now, of course, yeah, in running from an ArtiosCAD standard, the easiest way to modify that carton is to, hit your rebuild function and then go to your glue flap and modify the value from there. Of course, though, we provide these tools, because you might not be always running from a standard. You might be running from a customized design that you have. So in saying that, we have a lot of dimension tools in here. We have a lot of artwork placing tools, annotation tools, all that kind of stuff. Right, so once you have that basic design up and running, we have some things to aid you folding in 3D as well. So once you click on this paperclip tool here, which is Define Mate Area, it allows you to go in and choose some pre-designated fold areas that the software and the standard has pre-built into it. So if I was to click on this, you can see that you see GL1 matches up with GL1 here because we know that that glue panel glues to that part of the carton. And of course here, the crash lock base, also is denoted here. So we have the two different, we have all the three different glue points with their mate areas designated. Now converting this to 3D is quite basic. I can just click on Convert to 3D here. And what it does is, if it recognizes, as per the standards do, that your ArtiosCAD standard has fold angles in it, it will ask you if you want to fold the map as per that. So if I was to click OK here at the moment, you can see the carton comes in already pre-folded. I don't have to touch anything. All I have to do is just, I can now move it around. And I can play with that and make sure that my carton is formed correctly. Now, another thing we can do is, when converting to 3D, is that we can convert to 3D. And this time I will not let it fold itself. I will just bring it in flat. And we can use those mate areas which are designated in 2D. So I can click on the paperclip tool here. And there's all those areas in the 2D that are designated. I can click on one of these areas. And as you can see, the carton is now folded up. I can then click on the other ones. And now you can see we have now constructed the carton just by clicking on those mate areas. Now, a good thing to know, and especially on the crash lock base carton, is that once you glue everything and you go to your slider tool, you can see here that the carton folds as if it is properly glued together. So all the panels respect each other's levels, and you don't have to worry about graphics hidden behind other parts of the carton. So for example, for this one, that crash lock base folds exactly as it would if it was to come off a die cutter and a gluing station. So we have this here, we have this carton here, and of course I can go in and I can fold up this further in at 90 degrees. So I can fold the rest up at 90 degrees here, like that. And I can change my view here. Now, another thing we can do is we want to obviously supply some information to the customer. So we say, okay, this is the front of my box because I'm going to pop it open this way. I can now close this 3D down here. And what I can do is I can click on a thing called Artwork Panels. And once I click on Artwork Panels, you can see here the software using that 3D knowledge knows which way the panel should be orientated, and which way the customer should put all their graphics on. So once we click OK on that, you can see that it saves it as its own designated layer called Artwork Panels. As you can see here, there's many layers that ArtiosCAD designates here. So you can create things for coding layers, things for non-glue areas, and these all translate later into your manufacturing file when you're going to create die boards and coding blankets for your printing processes and die cutting processes. So the other thing we can do here is, so I can turn that off now, and the 3D Assist, I can convert again to 3D. Again, it's asking me my previous fold angles. I click OK. And I can spin that around. And then from the 2D, I can now go File Outputs. I can go to 2D and 3D report. You can see here the report is going to give me some information, and I'll just click OK on that. Just click OK that, and I'll just save this to my desktop for now. And all of a sudden now, you now have a 2D report. Now, what I've done is, inside this 2D report, yeah, I've actually now included a 3D render as well of the carton itself. So I'll just wait till that renders. It's just coming now. Okay, and there we have it. So now this is a PDF report in Acrobat Reader. Yeah, so just Adobe Acrobat with all the information in it. So your customer's information is here, the area of the carton, yeah, the length, width, and depth, the length in the cutting rule, the flat image size, how much waste, yeah, if you were to put some border on that, the vertical grain, yeah, the board grade, yeah, is a revision of a carton, all those kind of things. Yeah, and these can be totally customized. So this is just an example that comes with the software. Yep. And of course, you can then email this off to your customer, and your customer can say, yes, we approve it, we like it, off we go. So once the customer comes back and says, yes, we like the design, we can approve it, can you please supply us a die line so we can give to our artwork supplier if your company itself is not doing the artwork? Yep. And you can export in different file formats here. Yeah, so you can go into Artios here, and you can see how we offer DXF, we go for CF2, DDS, PDF. And what we can do is we can output here as a PDF one-to-one. So in that one-to-one PDF, it's a scale 1, which will give your customer everything they need. Now, of course, if we wanted to supply them everything they need to see, we can turn on all the layers here, or we can say the customer, all he needs to know is artwork panels, yeah, and where they need to place print based on this on these artwork panels. So I can export this now. Yeah, and I can just call this art. And again, it will open up. And in the PDF file here, yeah, you have everything here designated by cut crease, yeah, the back panels, the artwork layers. And using some free plugins from the Esko website, your customer can open this PDF file, yeah, directly into Illustrator, and it will respect all the cutting and creasing information. So once your customer gets that, yep, they can bring in that design to Illustrator, they place the artwork on it, and then they send you back an artwork graphic. And what you can do in ArtiosCAD is you can actually go and place that artwork. So you can say, I want to add some graphics in here. And I'll just go to here. And I'll bring in, they've returned it back to you as a PDF file. So I can just grab that PDF file here and say open, and brings in my graphics. Now, once that graphic has come in, yeah, you can go ahead and you can snap that. Yeah, so you can click on, yeah, create design outline. You want to snap it to and you want to clip the carton. So because the carton has that knowledge of a closed die line and everything like that, you can click OK here, and there is your artwork clipped to your design. Again, yeah, we can go back into 3D, so we can go here. And you can say update 3D. So you can click on that. Again, it's going to prompt you, and there it is there with your carton. Now, from here, we can output that same 2D PDF report, right, that we did just before, 2D/3D. So your customer can then see the 2D die line. So we can go outputs here. Oops, sorry. And this time I'll just do a preview for you. Yep, so there it is there. So that your customer will see that on that 2D image. Yep. Or you can send them out a customized larger 3D image. Yep, if they don't need to know any particular details. So the 3D report here, you can give the customer some indication. It's a 5-color job. We'll click OK on that. Again, we'll just go to 3D here. So you can see here the information's come through again with that carton. I'm just waiting for the render to come through. And there it is there. So there is your box rendered. Yeah, and then your customer has the ability to zoom in and zoom out. Yeah, and based on, they can zoom in, and they can also do certain things in here as well. So they can actually change some lights in here. Yeah, so they can, to brighten up the image. Yeah, or they can go from the CAD lights. Yeah, so they can do certain things in here to, and of course they can print this out as a static copy as well. Again, all just in Acrobat Reader. So once that's done and that's approved, yeah, we can close out that 3D. Sorry, just close that. So just close that there, and then so that's your main design there. Yeah, I will just turn off the graphics here, and from here now I can go and create a layout. And now the layout, yeah, you can do in two ways. Yeah, you can go into a thing called convert to manufacturing. Yep, which is here. And once you convert to manufacturing, you can have your some parameter sets up with your own die cutters that you have in house and your printing capabilities. Yeah, so you can say, I want to put this on the small die cutter using the small sheet. Yep. And once you click OK, you will see that the software, if it finds any errors in the file, it'll prompt you. So we can say, yes, I just want to release that. And there is my carton. I can now use some step and repeat tools here to start step and repeating my carton. Now, obviously, that's not an efficient way to step something out. So we can go in and you have a wide array of options here that you can start using to step and repeat your carton. So something like that would probably be more favorable for this type of carton. So from there, of course, yeah, we can go and create that the sheet. Yeah, and it gives you there now your sheet size. But of course, once you have that happening, we can go File, Outputs here. Again, yeah, and we can go a 2D and layout report. And I'll just preview that for you. There it is there. So you have your 2D image, you have your layout image here, and of course it gives you everything here that you would need. Yeah, whether it's to quote a die, to quote some material usage and how many sheets you need to order and all that kind of stuff. And it gives you your sheet wastage as well. So there's a lot of information that we can put, and of course we can do some nice real things with calculations in the background to really allow the software to give you the results you want. So I will just cancel that for now and show you the second way that we can create a layout. So the second way we can create a layout is using some intelligent layout tools. And what we do is we have a standard sheet layout. Now this might be something that your supplier will only give you a certain amount of size sheets that you buy your board from. And from there, what can happen is that you can choose the nesting options exactly as per what I showed you in that manual. Yep. And then you can go to standard sheets and you can say, okay, we have the large sheet and the small sheet. We want to see how many cartons we can get for those on those presses based on that. So once we click OK, the software will go and do a calculation, and it comes back and gives you different options of how it thinks it wants to lay the cartons out based on some factors. So you can see here we've got a large sheet, yeah, and the wastage. You can even click on wastage here and it'll order everything into wastage for you. Yep. So if we're happy with this layout, we just go make layout here. At this point, we choose the large die cutting parameters because that's what we've chosen. We click OK. And there is your layout based on your on that standard sheet layout. And again, you can now save this, yeah, and output this, send it off, to your estimating team. They can estimate what they need to have, and then from there, have your dies made to that layout and all your printing plates and everything. And as Scott mentioned before, all the knowledge in the ArtiosCAD, in the 2D design, all the way going through into this manufacturing is the base knowledge for all our other Esko software, for ArtPro Plus, for all the automation engine tasks that we can offer as additional tools for ArtiosCAD. And that is basically a folding carton, simple workflow for ArtiosCAD. What I'll do now is I'm going to quickly go and do a quick display because I've got about 10 minutes left to show you some things, and then we want to leave 10 or 15 minutes for some questions. Okay, so what I can do is I can say run a standard here. And again, I'll just go to display here. I'll choose this one. So I'm just choosing a very basic plain display, yeah, just to show you the functionality of what we can do here. So what we click is we click OK here. Yep, I will just accept that. So I can now choose our corrugated board that I want to create this display from. Yeah, again, the board properties, it gives you the 3mm thickness, inside loss and outside gains. I can click OK here. I'll just accept this for now quickly. And it gives you that 2D design. Yeah, so basically here now is your 2D design of how that display is made up. So again, yeah, once you've designed that display, you've gone through it, yeah, before you want to start doing your step and repeat layouts and stuff like that, you can convert to 3D here. And based on the knowledge within those standards, yeah, it knows that things have to click together, yeah, because when we built those standards, yeah, that was already built in there. So let's say I've built this display and now the customer wants to get a box and hang a box on some, some hanger pegs. Yeah, that goes in a supermarket here. I can now add a design in. So I'll just add a design here and I'll just go to my file and I'll just go the folding carton with a header card, with a hanger card. You can see here the hangers, yeah, are part of that tools in ArtiosCAD. They're called geometry macros, which are another tool in the arsenal of ArtiosCAD. And in there, it brings in the carton alongside that corrugated. Two different materials in the one 3D layout. I can then click on that carton. I want to rotate it. So it's the same way out. And then what I can do is I can do a thing called add hardware or add hardware furniture here. So once I click on that, I can go in now and based on a predefined library of hooks and things that I can have in the library, I can click on certain things that I want to bring in here. Yeah, I just hover on top of it and it'll give me the one that I want. Yep. So I can click on this one here, the 6-inch one. I can say an array placement. And then all I do is click on that panel. And now you can see it's placed an array of those hooks. But I wanted those hooks to match the array of my carton. So what I do is I click on that little hang cell there, and you can see the software has already now gone in and modified the positioning of those hangers based on those boxes there. I can, if I want to allow more space there, because obviously maybe, you want to have a bit of room for print, I can change the amount of boxes that I place there. I can increase the guttering between them. And then, of course, I can always add more cartons to the hooks. Once you go too far and you can't get any more cartons on those hooks, you can see that comes up, yeah, with an error in red. So I can just remove them. Yeah, and once I click OK, my display is now built with those cartons on there. So from this point here, we know that, yeah, you can grab that, you can send that off to your customer. Again, outputting a 3D PDF. Yep, exactly as I did before, no difference. But this time in the layout, we can do some nice things here. So as you can see, once I added that hardware in, it automatically went back and updated the 2D. I didn't have to go in and place those holes manually for those hooks. The holes are placed automatically based on the software. I can now choose a thing called canvassing. And what I can do is when I convert to canvas, yep, my design will come in and you can see that it splits up my design into different parts here, yep, including, yeah, bringing in that hook as well that I had in as a part. On the bottom of the right-hand side corner here, as I click on each part, yeah, you can now say in here how many parts are required to make up a full display. So if I needed more than one part here for this, for example, I could just type in 2 here or 3. What that allows me to do though is I can say, okay, when I want to complete this display here, I can go in and create some customized layouts now. So on the right-hand side here, you will see I can right-click and say create layout. Now you have the ability to add multiple parts to a composite layout. And in here, you can type in a sheet size, for example. So you can go to 2440 by 1220. And you can choose how much of a space you want between each of your designs. So this is indicating from cut to cut. So if you're going to have, let's say, a 5mm bleed, you might allow 10mm. Then you can say, how close to the edge of the sheet do I want to cut and print? Yeah, so you might say, okay, well, 10mm. I can then choose some options here for nesting. Yeah, and this is taken out from some other software of ours called iCut Layout. And this now you can go in and say, I want a no rotation, or because I'm worried about the flute/grain direction, I'm only allowing a 180-degree rotation. Yeah, I want to fill vertically before I fill horizontally, or how long it takes you to find those layouts. And then in the quantity here, basically what it says, how many complete display units do you want to order? Yeah, or are you thinking of creating? Let's say this customer says he wants 10. So I'll type in 10 there. Once I click create here, the software will go through, and come up, and say, okay, well, based on the parameters that you've chose, I can only put in these here because the sheet size is not big enough for that initial one. So what I'll do is I'll go here and I'll say recalculate job. It brings in the sheet size, and you say, okay, our sheet size is now 3.2 by 1800, for example. Recalculate job. And there you have it there. So obviously this part is still too big to fit on based on the grain direction. So I can say, okay, let's try a different sheet with a different grain direction. So I can say, okay, we're going to try 1800 by 3200 here. And we'll say recalculate job again. And it will go and recalculate that. I can then create another layout. Again, the specs are still the same. And I create. And there is now my new layouts based on, it's telling me I need 7 of the top layout 7. I need 1 of these ones and 2 of the bottom ones to make up those 10 displays. And of course, from there, we can go and output some reports based on, the bill of materials. So I can go to parts here. I can go to parts outputs here. And we'll go to Canvas, and I'll just go to a bill of materials here, PDF. It asks you what parts you want to bring in. We click OK. And I'll just show a preview of that. Of course, just standard. And then, you can go through and it will show you each individual design. And based on the specifications for that particular design. And of course, all the reports can either go to a printer or to a PDF, so they can be, customized in any way possible. I guess, we've quickly run out of time. So I'll now hand over to Scott to see if we have any questions, and we'll just continue on with there. Scott?
Thanks, George. Can you hear me, George?
Yes, I can.
No worries, thanks. So there are a couple of questions, George. Thanks for that too, George. It was a great job as usual. So before we just go into those couple of those questions, so as George may mention, there's this is just a snippet of what ArtiosCAD can do. And obviously there was some predefined files that we were using and some structures that George had pre-prepared. But anyone who's interested, we can organise a personalised demonstration specifically tailored to your business needs using your own files if that's something you're interested in. So reach out and let us know, and we'd be happy to organise that. George, so just there's only a couple of questions. Another one just popped up. It's a common question. Is ArtiosCAD software available for Mac? Unfortunately not. Although, George, correct me if I'm wrong, there are many of our customers that are running ArtiosCAD on a Mac, but with parallels. Is that correct?
Yes. So VMware, you would need to run it on VMware Fusion and have a PC installed on that VMware Fusion.
But it does run very well, I do believe. Is that correct, George? We've got many
correct.
customers
So
doing that.
Provided that the correct amount of resources are aligned to that PC on that Mac, it runs just as good as what I've shown on my machine.
Great, thanks, George. A couple of little things. So there's a question about costing. So can ArtiosCAD be used to create like a costings for quotation to understand costs of running jobs and things? Especially for dies and so forth?
So we can extract some costing information. So we can generate you know, things like estimated die costs. Will it do estimating based on, you know, print runs or die cutting runs and stuff like that? Not really.
The die costs, is that
the die cost, no problem at all. Yes, we can build some smarts into the reports. Yeah, that can punch out a die cost. You know, even if you wanted something on ink coverage, yeah, a certain, you know, value on ink coverage, because we know the area from the design file, we can build that into the reports as well, and we can get that information out. So that is highly possible as well. Yes.
Great, George. Thanks for that. And there's a bit of a question regarding the online store, George, for the files for the ArtiosCAD.net. So sort of how many times these can be used and what sort of costs are they potentially looking at? So maybe you just, can you throw up the store there, George? Have you got that there? I'll just share your screen again.
Yep. So in the store, of course, each one of these designs, they all vary in price. I think from last memory, they were from €30 to €60. But once you pay that,
George, I think the most expensive one I've seen is probably €60, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But, yeah.
So once you purchase that design and download it to your ArtiosCAD, that is yours to keep forever, and you can use that as many times as you want. Yeah, so there's no limitation on the amount of times that you can use that resizable template.
Yep, and that's totally resizable. It's a parametric design, correct, George?
Yeah, right? Correct. Yep. And you'll see if you go through this ArtiosCAD.net store here. So the actual address is ArtiosCAD.net, the web address. And you will see there's things here that cater for, you know, like reboards and X boards and G boards and D boards. It's not only just corrugated and folding carton. So the store is much more broader in the sense of the type of material ranges it covers.
And so are these constantly updated, George? Like they constantly add to these quite, you know, throughout the year. There's new content that adds onto this site too. Is that correct?
Yes. So both in ArtiosCAD itself and on the ArtiosCAD.net store, the content is always being updated. Correct. I think we started off here in this. The store started off originally with about 200-ish designs. I would say there's around 600 now in the space of probably 2 or 3 years. So they do a lot of work in that ArtiosCAD store.
Oh, great. Thanks, George. Look, I think that's all the questions. I can't see any more popping up. Hang on. So showing a 3D render in Adobe Acrobat. Does the customer need a plugin or just standard reader? So that is just the standard reader. And in fact, I can, if anyone is interested, we can, George, you'll be able to send them a sample to anyone who's interested of those 3D renders too.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll convert 2 3D renders. I will do one as a static and one with some animation in it, so you can see the way that 3D render works within Acrobat Reader. And you're correct, Scott. There's no plugins required. It's just standard Acrobat Reader.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I have another question. Does ArtiosCAD come with free updates or these additional costs? So I can answer that, George. So ArtiosCAD, if I just actually, I might just, that'll perfect opportunity to just step back into here. So ArtiosCAD traditionally for many years was offered as what we call a perpetual license. It was to be purchased and owned. We now offer ArtiosCAD as a subscription with 3 different feature levels. You can head to our website. You can head to our shop or our online store, which has all our subscriptions and consumables sort of thing on there. Or you can go to the Esko.com to products to ArtiosCADs, go straight to the buy it now, so you can purchase online. But by going to the buy it now, you'll get all this information. So you'll see the 3 levels of the features, what is involved in the essentials, through to advanced, and all the way up through to what we call the ArtiosCAD Prime. Okay, and you'll see some pricing there. So subscription pricing is inclusive of all upgrades and support. It's all included. For perpetual licensing, there is the option for moving forward as a software care plan. ongoing small costs that contributes to the research and development of the product moving forward, and ensures all ongoing updates, upgrades, and support. As a special to any registrant that is interested in purchasing a new subscription of ArtiosCAD, we are offering a special discount. You will need to contact us, and we can prepare a proposal for you. There's some of the contact details. So you can email just the Oceania Office Direct, info.oce@esco.com. You can email myself for any follow-up. My number's there if you wish to call me. And for any particulars around ArtiosCAD, you can certainly contact George through his email, or ring the office number, which I have there as well. So on that, I'll thank you, George, very much. Great job as always. I want to thank everyone for joining us. There doesn't seem to be any more questions, so I'm going to leave it there. Look, as I said, if anyone's interested in a more personalised demonstration, please let us know, and we'd be more than happy to deliver that to yourself and your team. That would be great. So look, stay safe, and we hope and look forward to hearing from you soon. George, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for your time this afternoon and for attending our webinar.
Thanks, guys.